Yeah, we're talking about a Maxx Crosby tweet today. What's up? Good morning, good afternoon to those of you on the East Coast. This is the Best 49ers Show. We are your hosts, Cohn, Ryan G, Hensley. Not a lot of news going on with the Niners right now. So it's the time of the offseason where tweets are news. And last night, Maxx Crosby had a doozy. This morning, Tabor Pepper, who is one of the, preeminent 49ers, referenced the tweet, said, I know you guys saw it. I think we know Diamador Lenoir's been recruiting Maxx Crosby. And we don't really know how Maxx Crosby feels about the 49ers, but this is what he tweeted last night. Spent 48 hours in the Bay this weekend. Easily one of the best experiences I've had so far as a professional. The amount of love y'all showed for this fourth rounder from Eastern Michigan was humbling. I was just a kid chasing my dreams and trying to figure it out when I first touched down in Cali as a rookie. Going from Oaktown to Alameda in the city and being with the people was truly iconic and means more to me than anything. Impact and inspiring is everything. Spent 1 year in the town and the rest is history. The town will forever hold a special place in my heart. To everybody I encountered out there, I love y'all. We will be back again soon. Do you think Maxx Crosby is letting the 49ers know that he would be down to play for them?
Well, first of all, remember when it was only 140 characters allowed on Twitter? That was a long-ass tweet that you just
super
read
long.
right there.
And he capitalized the first letter of every word, which I think takes dedication.
That is interesting. That is dedication. That
you could go caps lock and it kind of creates the same impact, but it's easy. But this one, you actually have to take the time. He meant it.
It's like a title of a book, a long-ass book.
Yeah, a very long headline. I love the Bay.
Well, who wouldn't love the Bay coming from Vegas? No offense to anybody from Las Vegas. But I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Las Vegas. It's feels dirty. Feels real dirty to me when I go there. I feel like I need to shower twice when I get home. So
Vegas is fun for like 48 hours. But I don't know if I would want to live there. People watching may live there and may really like it. I don't know much about Vegas. All I know is it's nice to see someone showing the Bay some love, because for a few years we weren't getting much. Like Keith Lee came out here to review freaking food spots, and someone told him to go to the Tenderloin for food, and he was like, this place is awful. It's like, well, who told you to go to the Tenderloin for food? That's where you get not food. Anyway.
So I'm speaking on a broader point. The Bay is just a better place than Vegas. I'm sorry, guys. So that could just be that, if I was living in Las Vegas and I got to come to the Bay Area for a weekend and enjoy myself, I'd be stoked about it too. So it could just be that. Would I like it to be to the 49ers? Yes. I think let me toot my own horn. There's a horn up here. Remember the truck drivers? Remember you're on the freeway and you
yes.
In the trucks?
You think they still do it? I bet they do. I bet they wanted, no one never asked us to do it anymore. Anyway.
No one does that anymore, huh?
Yeah.
So I'm tooting my own horn here because I think I was the first guy to be like, let's fucking trade. Excuse my language. It's too early for that. Let's trade for Maxx Crosby was what I said a long time ago. I don't know how realistic it is. I would love it. I think Maxx Crosby, to me, J.J. Watt, Maxx Crosby, Myles Garrett. Those are your top three defensive ends, in my opinion. And Maxx Crosby, his motor is just ridiculous. They showed how his snap count, how many snaps he played for the Raiders, and he barely came out. Nick Bosa used to have a crazy motor. Maxx Crosby's motor is 10 times better. They're talking about bringing the Joey Bosa in to play opposite of Nick Bosa. That's not very exciting for me. But a Maxx Crosby to the 49ers I would be thrilled. Very different personalities, Nick Bosa and Maxx Crosby, by the way. But I don't know.
But they do seem to have a relationship, know each other, like each other.
Yeah.
They're also both very big fans of the current president of the United States. Maybe they could bond over that.
Yeah. I would be thrilled though if Maxx Crosby came to the 49ers. I would trade Nick Bosa for Maxx Crosby. No question.
See,
but
that's
I don't know.
thing. I feel like if the Raiders were to trade Maxx Crosby, it would be for draft picks because the whole idea is, yeah, Maxx Crosby's great, but they don't even have a quarterback and they're years away from contention. So why hold on to him during his prime when you could trade him for 4 picks and sort of do what the Lions did and sort of supercharging a rebuild, like get a bunch of I think that's probably what they would want to do. And the Niners technically do have the picks. It's just like, are they one player away? It'd be interesting to see what a defense with Saleh, Warner, Crosby, and Bosa could do together for 1 year. And Lenore.
All that being said, I don't think it happens. I think Joey Bosa is on the way to the Bay Area is what I think is more realistic.
God, no, please, no. Say it ain't so. Wow. Why? Another guy who's old and can't stay healthy. Please, no?
It just seems like the Niner thing to do. We're a family here. Let's bring a Joey Nick Bosa combination.
Because I feel like you need an edge to complement Nick Bosa. You need someone faster and more explosive than Nick. And Joey is less explosive than Nick. I mean, I think it's a bad pairing, even though they're brothers. They're happy and they're singing and they're.
I would not like the move. I'd be interested to see how it plays out, but it's not something I would want to happen. It sounds like the Chargers are supposed to ask Joey Bosa to take a pay cut, and if that happens, he's going to say no and release him. And we know the Bosa family would love them to be on the same team. So I think it's actually a lot more realistic than people realize that Joey Bosa could come to the 49ers. But unfortunately, I don't think Maxx Crosby is.
Maxx Crosby is so much better than Joey Bosa. What you could do is trade for Maxx Crosby, trade a bunch of picks for Maxx Crosby, trade the first round pick this year, have him and Bosa for 1 year together, then trade Bosa for picks next year. Get those picks back.
Sounds like a plan to me. Will the Niners do it? No, I don't think so. I'd be thrilled. I think it's going to take more than the 1 first rounder for the Raiders to give up on Maxx Crosby. Who is the best? The Raiders have Maxx Crosby and the tight end was Bowers, the young tight end. Those are the 2 dudes the Raiders have right now. Who else do the Raiders have besides those 2 guys? And if you're going to start building this franchise, you need to have some, pieces to build around. And I think those are your 2 guys that you have right now.
Bowers is young.
Yep.
That's 1.
Yep.
And Crosby is
Crosby.
Yeah. He's going to be 28 this year. He's a little older than Bosa. He may not even want to be there.
Yeah, I don't know if he does or not. I just don't see it. I just don't see the 49ers being able to pull that off. It just
and sign Brock Purdy in the same offseason.
And do all these other things. They have I think they're going to put in Joey Bosa and draft some interior guys. That's what I think is going to happen. I really do.
Okay, that's a nightmare. The only reason I think that may not happen is that maybe Robert Saleh is smart enough to realize that's a disaster. And it's not just that Joey Bosa is declining and slower than Nick. It's like he's also gets injured and he had like 5 sacks last year, 6 sacks.
Here's the thing. Who was partially responsible for the Wilkes firing? Like really?
Nick. Nick.
I mean,
but allegedly. I don't know if he has that kind of sway over Saleh. Now that Saleh's back in town, they may have like an actual strong person on the defense. And if he's back, he may want to like actually draft an edge rusher. He may have come back because he feels he's going to have some say over personnel. And I'm sure Nick would like to sign his brother. If Nick's the GM of the defense, they're signing Joey Bosa, and he has been the GM of the defense the last couple of years. Saleh may have a little sway. I don't know. We'll see.
But here's the thing: what if Joey Bosa is available, and the Niners say, "No, we're good."
No.
What does that do in regards to the relationship with Nick Bosa?
Dude, I don't give a damn. How about that?
Me neither.
I'm so tired of the Niners being like, "Oh, this player might not be happy with us. Oh my God, we need them to like us."
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you on all your points. I'm just not sure the Niners do. I think the Niners would pull the trigger on that. I do.
Agree. Dave Barclay says, 2 of my favorite people keep killing it, guys. Dave Barclay, member for 38 months, definitely one of our favorite people. We get Crosby for Miles, and we have Hulk defense. That'd be tough to get both. I don't know if the Niners have the capital.
You'd have to move off of Nick, which I'd be down for.
Or Brock. Sean says, I think Howie Roseman's getting too much credit. His model is the Niners model from both Super Bowls. They just executed better. The difference was Hurts hit that same pass that Jimmy Garoppolo missed to Sanders.
I think he deserves the credit. I think he's the best GM in the NFL right now. In the model, let's be real here. The model wasn't invented by Roseman. It wasn't invented by the 49ers. That's the model for it's a winning formula. You build in the trenches. That model's been around since football started. But he just executed it better, which is what you pointed out, which is the main thing.
I mean, his focus on the offensive line is so different from what the Niners do, and it's really what sets the Eagles apart, and it's why they've had so much success with a lot of different quarterbacks. And the fact that they let Jalen Hurts fall to them and they drafted him before anyone realized that they need a quarterback is great, as opposed to the Niners, who waited around until Jimmy Garoppolo was clearly not good enough, and then they traded up and they got the wrong guy.
He did miss the pass, though. I agree on that part.
The Jedi says, I would wait until after the draft and land Mason Graham, then trade for Maxx Crosby. Trade next year's pick for Maxx Crosby.
If Max is getting traded, he's going to get traded before the draft, though. So
I would think so. Yeah, they want picks now. Josh Wyatt says, the question of the offseason seems to be, will they rebuild or go all in? I'm fine with either, but I'm worried John and Kyle are about to do neither.
I do feel like they are going. I feel like everyone is kind of aware now. Like, you're going into year 9 with Kyle Shanahan. This is the hot season, the hot seat season for Kyle Shanahan. If you don't pull this team together and get back on track and make a good run into the playoffs, especially with this easy schedule, Kyle Shanahan is going to be on the hot seat. And I think the whole organization realizes that can't happen this year. So I think they will be pretty aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. And I think the last time Kyle Shanahan was like, his seat was semi-warm was 2019. Because he was coming off 2 back-to-back losing seasons. He hadn't made the playoffs yet as a head coach. And it's hard to hold on to your job as a head coach in the NFL if you miss the playoffs your first 3 seasons as a head coach. Usually you get fired. So, I mean, it doesn't mean he was going to get fired, but there's some pressure. And so they went out and traded for D Ford. They got Quan Alexander. They made big investments. They were very aggressive that offseason, like uncharacteristically aggressive. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something like that now. Doesn't mean they'll go get Maxx Crosby, but it doesn't mean they won't either. And you keep seeing people on the Niners reference it. Diamador Lenore, Tabor Pepper, almost like they're talking about it in the building, fantasizing about it, kicking the idea around. It seems like it may not be so far-fetched.
I mean, maybe it's possible. I do think, though, not making the playoffs in year 8 and 9 is a lot worse than not making the playoffs in year 2 and 3. Like, if they went all in 2019 because of that, I'm telling you, man, the 49ers, Kyle's feeling it, man. This is year 9, and you haven't won a Super Bowl. You just went 6-11 with a good roster. You can't have that happen again. So I feel like they are going to make some moves.
Yeah, and once they make Brock Purdy like one of the highest paid players in the league, and if they have another down season, what else can they do but get a new head coach? I mean, there's not going to be that much roster finagling that they could really do with that ridiculous contract on the books. I mean, look what happened to Dallas. They gave a ridiculous contract to Dak Prescott, and 6 months later, they got a new head coach. So a lot of pressure.
And this is the year, like, financially, like, paying Brock doesn't hurt you that much this year. It's the following years where it's really going to start hurting.
Scott Alexander donates 2 pounds.
2 pounds.
Thank you very much. From the UK. Okay, I got a question about this Deebo thing. We've all been kind of making fun of Deebo. He wants to trade. Who does he think he is? Yeah, he's overweight. Yeah, okay. Still, though, the fact that we've been sort of calling for the 49ers in general and Kyle Shanahan in particular to break it off, to be the ones that break it off with Deebo. Stop giving him the ball. Stop trying to placate him. It doesn't matter if he's happy. It would be addition by subtraction to get rid of him. We've been saying this for a long time. They never did it. Deebo was the one that said, you know what? I don't want to be on this team anymore. This team isn't going anywhere. Essentially, Kyle Shanahan isn't great anymore. Essentially, I mean, he pretty much gave a vote of no confidence to Kyle and the team and wants out. And he likes Sean Payton and the Broncos more. I mean, is this significant? This is the first member of the quote unquote Cabo clique to say, I don't want to be in this anymore. This is a sinking ship.
It is significant. It's Deebo Samuel, who was, maybe close to being the offensive player of the year for the 49ers, carried them to a Super Bowl that year. Uh, Absolutely. I mean, this is Kyle Shanahan's best bud on the team, and
Mhm.
he's out. So when you're a wide receiver or an offensive weapon, whatever you want to call Deebo Samuel, and you are out on your team, you don't believe in your offensive play caller, your head coach, and or your quarterback. I mean, that's what it boils down to. I mean, if you really thought Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy were the truth and going to lead you to a Super Bowl victory, why would you want to leave? So whether he's right or not, that's debatable. But I don't think it's debatable that he doesn't believe that they are the guys, because if he was, why would he want to leave? So I think it's very significant.
I just think it's interesting with Kyle. Like, he can be very cold towards certain players down the totem pole in the roster, but like for the stars, he usually, or at least with the Niners, he went out of his way to be friends with them, cater to them, give them the extension, give them everything they wanted, the playing time, the money, the opportunities. Kyle will come through for you just as long as you like him and say nice things about him, and you're on his side. And he
Mhm.
did that with Deebo way too long. He did it all season. He did it in the Super Bowl. It cost the 49ers a Super Bowl. It cost the 49ers a playoff appearance this year. And after all that, Deebo says, not that good. I mean, it backfired. You think bending over backwards like that for a player, he'd appreciate it, but it really is a weak move. And I think Deebo's like, you're not the coach I used to think you were.
Yeah, man. It's like play a little hard to get. You know what I mean? Like, feels like Kyle's just a little too needy, a little too clingy. Like
Mhm.
Debo's like, I need my space.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a significant
Kyle's like, you
thing,
like
man.
me, right? You like me, right? You like me, right? Yeah, man. When
Sure.
you were getting me hella catches, but now my career's going down and I'm blaming you.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
also Deebo Samuel is one of a lot of players on this team that have lost 2 Super Bowls. That's heartbreaking stuff. Like, so not only is your career on the downward trajectory, you've been through 2 devastating seasons where you went all the way to the Super Bowl and lost. Like, that's got to take a toll. So maybe some of Debo's just like, man, I need a new start. This Grant Cohn guy, the way he covers me is killing me. I got to go somewhere else. Like it could all be, it come into play.
I mean, one of the things that Kyle's always had in his corner, and you talk about leadership, and some people say he doesn't have any. I don't think he's much of a leader, but people will say, well, his players love him. His players play for him. Look at how Deebo plays for him. Deebo loves him. Trent loves him. Do they? Or does he want to be liked? And do they make him feel liked so that they can get hell of money and a career? Yeah. And then when he's no longer useful to them, do they just move on? I think it's interesting. I mean, Kyle may have gotten played a little bit here from his group of players that he thought were his friends. They're not friends. It's a business.
Yeah.
And you've made them very rich. I think that might be why they like you or liked you.
The whole family thing that teams like to throw out there, it's a little overplayed. Like in certain situations, like a young team that was built together, like the Lions last year, maybe that felt like a family, and you do get close playing football with, it's like you're going to war with people and you build bonds over that. Don't get me wrong, but ultimately it's a business. And Deebo Samuel is about his business over this family aspect, and he wants to make sure he takes control of his career, and for him that means going somewhere else. And I think Kyle really needs to, moving forward, focus on the business aspect of it, make football decisions, and not try to be friends with these dudes.
Yeah. Why do you think he tries to make friends with certain players on the team? Like, he's not trying to make friends with Jordan Mason or Dominic Pooney yet, but
Mhm.
he absolutely is trying to make friends with Christian McCaffrey. Went to his wedding, thought he was friends with Deebo Samuel, thinks he's friends with Trent Williams. I don't know. Like, why is this so important to him? I don't think Sean McVay is like that. I don't think Bill Belichick was like that. Why Kyle? What is he trying to do?
Well, there's a lot to that. First of all, Kyle Shanahan wanted to be an NFL wide receiver growing up.
Mhm.
that's what he wanted to be. You know, he played in high school and he played a little bit in college, caught 17 passes. Um, that's who he wants to be. So he wants to be part of the cool kids. He wants to be an NFL player. Like he said, Ricky Pearsall reminds him of himself, which is crazy. I think Kyle just wants to be included. He wants to be part of the cool kid. I think he gets a little insecure around these real players. I know that sounds funny and people are going to get mad that I said that, but like Alex Boone told a story about how Kyle Shanahan, when he first started coaching the 49ers, he would cuss a lot when speaking in front of large groups. And if you do any kind of, if you understand really what that means, is it basically it's a nervous reaction. Like he doesn't feel comfortable standing in front of large groups of football players. So he's cussing to try to like fit in. And it's just not a comfortable leadership persona. And I think Kyle's just not a natural leader of men. And I think he kind of wishes he was an NFL player. And so he latches on to these great players that he has on his team and wants to just be one of the guys and wants to be accepted and appreciated.
So I agree. He's got a little bit of imposter syndrome because remember, he's got the nepotism label too. He didn't play in the league. He wasn't a good college player. He's Mike Shanahan's son. And that's why he got the opportunities he got. He's also very gifted and very skilled, but he's not a natural leader and he's got the nepotism label. So for him, I think it's very important that the star players on his team who are vocal, who have, you know, podcasts or media opportunities like him, vouch for him, say nice things about him. And I think he will bend over backwards to appease those players where, you know, Jordan Mason's not going to say anything, you're benched. But Deebo Samuel could say something. Deebo Samuel could turn a lot of people against him and make it seem like he's no longer liked by his players. Got to make sure that that perception doesn't happen because he seems like he has a ton of job security right now. But all it takes is players being like, you know, I don't like you anymore. Yeah. And that's a problem.
Brandon Marshall did an interview with Kyle Shanahan. I forget when it was, a year or two ago. And Kyle was just a different person talking to him than you ever hear him
almost
talk to anybody. Starstruck. Yeah. And
yeah.
I really believe that this is part of it. Kyle just wants to be accepted by the star players on his team. I don't know if he's thinking like, hey, I need to make sure that I'm friends with them so they don't talk. I don't know if he's going down that thought process. I think it's just like, I want to be a cool kid. I really think that's the basis of it.
I think it's that, but I also think it's the basis of his job security in the league. I need George Kittle like me. Mm-hmm. I need George Kittle to be in my corner. I need Deebo to be in my corner. And I think one of the reasons he likes Brock Purdy so much is because he doesn't have to worry about Brock embarrassing him, saying something to the media, undercutting him, questioning him the way that Jimmy was at the end.
That's weak, insecure leadership is what that is.
Correct.
If that's
also, I think one of the reasons he liked Kirk Cousins so much. Kirk Cousins is a yes sir guy.
If that's what's going on, that's weak. I hope, you know, that can't be what it is. I mean, when you're a real natural leader, it should be the other way around. It should be where these players want the coach to like them and that they're trying their best to get that accomplished by doing what the coach wants, you know, being a good employee, being a good teammate. Like it should be the other way around. You should never have your coach trying to get the players to like them. They should just like them naturally. And if not, it's ship up or ship out. That should be the leadership of a coach. Like he should be the guy in this building that everyone wants to impress. It shouldn't be the other way around.
Right. And I think what we've seen consistently is when a player becomes very powerful in the 49ers, successful, rich, Kyle Shanahan caters to him. Christian, you don't want to come out of the game. What can I say? He didn't want to come out of the game. Nick Bosa, you want a new defensive coordinator? Who you want? You name him. I mean, that's not leadership. And I think that's very alarming behavior from a guy who's been a head coach for a long time. It seems like he's getting weaker as time goes on. Maybe he'll have a hell of an offseason this year, a hell of a year. But this whole thing, if he ever gets fired by the Niners and has a new start somewhere else, he needs to think about this thing he did with the Niners for almost a decade, making friends with players, and how did that help him, and did that help his team? Because I know you don't, or you're not certain of it, but I think it's a survival tactic, is what I'm saying. I think it's a survival tactic, and I think he got it from his dad. From what I understand, his dad was very, very close friends with John Elway, and that was a big way that Mike Shanahan kind of took the team away from Dan Reeves. Mike Shanahan was the offensive coordinator for Dan Reeves in Denver for a long time. Eventually, it became Mike Shanahan's team because John Elway liked him. So,
interesting.
Machiavellian strategery.
Yeah, I think it's a mistake either way. I don't know what the meaning is behind it, or whether it's a conscious decision to be this way for him, or if it's just him trying to fit in. I don't know what it is, but that's not the kind of leadership you want. You want a coach who has a design, a plan in mind for this team and this organization, with accountability, standards in place that the players are striving to meet, and friendship shouldn't be a priority on that list.
Well, maybe Kyle Shanahan has learned now that you could treat a certain player like a son and give him everything he wants, and still have that player turn his back on you and request a trade when because that's what's best for him when he's 29. And you didn't get anything from that relationship. Maybe in the future, you got to leave a little bit more distance, a lot more distance.
And it feel like he forced the ball to Deebo Samuel quite a bit over these last 2 years.
Yep.
In order to appease Deebo Samuel, and that was a mistake.
I mean, they might have beaten the Chiefs. The Chiefs, we just got smoked in the Super Bowl. They were not that great. They were vulnerable. They didn't score that many points against the Niners. I mean, maybe if the Niners hadn't wasted like 13 or 14 or 15 plays on Deebo Samuel on offense, they win that game. Maybe if those targets go to anyone else.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I mean, there's been a couple games where the whole plan, I forget what game it was, where Deebo got hurt, and they just looked like they didn't know what they were going to do on offense. And then after the game, George Kittle talked about a lot of the game plan was to go to Deebo Samuel. And so, this could be, I think this is going to be a good thing for Kyle Shanahan to move on from Deebo, so he doesn't feel like he has to do that anymore, even though he shouldn't anyway.
Agree. And I feel like Deebo's so demanding, and Kyle doesn't stand up to him. Like, that's what we're saying. Why does Kyle Shanahan make friends with certain players? Because he can't stand up to the really strong ones. So instead of having like a confrontation, he tries to keep him on his side. But you can't always do that. Sometimes you got to stand up to Deebo Samuel when he punches the long snapper. Sometimes you got to stand up to him, and he doesn't seem to have it in him. I mean, maybe he can stand up to Jimmy Ward, or I don't even know if he could do that. I mean,
it's like being a father. I got 4 kids. I don't try to be my kids' friends. Yeah. I mean, we are close, but ultimately, I'm going to tell them, and I'm going to make decisions based on what the best thing is for them, whether they like it or not, and what's the best thing for this family, whether they like it or not. Kyle needs to do the same thing with this team. Agree.
Dave Barclay just wants to remind everyone that Brock is mid. Lyle knows it. What are we doing? Because with we're talking about Kyle and how he deals with strong players. If you bring in Aaron Rodgers, what's Kyle going to do? He's going to be friends with him. Hey, Aaron, I love you. Like me. And Aaron won't respect that. He doesn't respect anyone.
Yeah. And to respond to some of the people in the chat, I'm not saying Kyle needs to be an a-hole to his players. That's not what I'm saying. Like, you can still communicate gracefully and respectfully to your players, but also not with the goal of being their friends. With the goal should be to win a Super Bowl.
Tyler Caressley says, Grant Ryan, year 9, you know what we have a head coach at this point. Unless Kyle makes significant changes, the ceiling for his team is him. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Dave Barclay says, makes me wonder if Lyle is comfortable with himself.
I don't think he is.
Spider369 says, we're going after Ashton Genty with the 11th pick. We're going to talk about exactly that in just a minute. But first, we got some, it's sleeper time. And what I like about this time of year is there's not a lot of sports going on. So there's interesting sleeper picks to be had. So we'll start off with NBA. We got one game, Charlotte and the Lakers. Do we have Luka Doncic? Yeah. What do you think? Luka Doncic against Charlotte. Points, rebounds, and assists, points and rebounds, points and assists and rebounds. I mean, we got so many combinations here.
I'm looking at the trends. It's hard to see right now. What are we looking at right here?
Points. 23.5. He hasn't been scoring a lot of points.
I think he's gonna go up above. Who's he playing? Charlotte? He's gonna go above it. He's been below it for too long now. I think he'll snap back.
Okay. Gonna snap back. Wait a second. Who else we got? LeBron James. You've heard of him. 23.5 points for LeBron, or rebounds, or assists. We could do that.
That guy's pretty good. LeBron. Obviously, I mean, look at the trend. He's only been under once. I would say he's gonna hit it.
Okay. Trends are good. Trends help. Yeah. What about Nikola Jokic against? I don't even know who he's going. Oh, against Charlotte in 3 days.
What are we looking at? What numbers are these?
These are assists.
I would say under. It looks like that's what he does. Seems like
enough.
Sleeper Picks is giving us some good options here.
They are giving us some good options. I might have to run and get my laptop charger. My laptop's about to die. I didn't even realize. You might have to carry the show for a minute, but I think we'll be okay for now. Just giving you a heads up.
I can do it.
Okay, that's enough basketball, because what I really want to do is CS2. I don't know what this is, dude.
What is CS2?
I don't know. I think it's like video games. So BK1, I'm not sure what video game this is though. M1 2 kills. Do you think BK1 is going to have more or fewer than 27.5 M1 M2 kills? I feel like BK1 is
more.
It's a lot for BK1.
Dude, more. BK1.
I feel like BK1 is super overrated.
That is BK1 you're talking about, Grant.
Dude, are you okay? You're a BK1 guy. I always felt like BK1 was kind of all hype, but that's my opinion. All right, I'm flexing it, submitting it. Oh, wait, your pick involving
he or she is one of the best to ever do it.
Oh, it expired. It's too bad.
Yeah, they knew it was a lock.
Yeah, hold on. Edit. Okay, we'll submit the entry then. It was a lock because I'm really good at the video game picks. It's just I have a sense about it. Anyway, download the Sleeper app. Use promo code Cohn, COHN, get entered to win a side George Kittle jersey. Okay, let's talk about round one. Everyone wants the Niners to take an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman for obvious reasons. We just saw the Eagles win a Super Bowl, dominate a Super Bowl in the trenches. The Niners haven't really addressed the trenches much in the last few years. The thing about the draft is just because you want something, you need something, doesn't mean that's necessarily the best player available when you pick. Is there any scenario in your mind where the Niners don't take a lineman in round one?
Sure. I mean, last year, I didn't think there was a scenario where they wouldn't, and they did. So it's always possible. And with the 11th pick overall, you really do want to take the best player available. If there's some kind of freak out there still at 11, you need to get them. And I won't be mad if that player exists. Most likely, though, based on round one, 11th pick overall, that's typically a quarterback or a lineman of some sort. Typically, that's who goes in the top 11, or some maybe freaky wide receiver out there. Now, it would not surprise me tremendously if they end up going with a receiver at 11. I don't know who's out there, who's going to be available at 11. I haven't done a ton of mock drafts this coming season, but you're losing Deebo Samuel. You have Juwan Jennings. You have Brandon Ayuk not coming back till maybe December. You have a wide receiver issue with the 49ers. They need a wide receiver. So do they believe Ricky Pearsall's a wide receiver one and can take that role? I don't think they do. I don't think he is. I like Ricky, what I've seen from him. I think he's a good, slot guy or a wide receiver 2 or 3. But I don't see him as like the guy. So they still need that. That's a need they've had on this team. I mean, the best that they've had in that role is Brandon Ayuk. And honestly, he's probably really a wide receiver too, if we're being real. That Brandon Ayuk is that's probably what he is, like a really good wide receiver too. So they've had this need for a long time, and they still do. Jacob Cowing is not going to fill that role. They have to find somebody to fill that slot. So to me, if it's not going to be offense or defensive line, which I hope it is, it's going to be a wide receiver. That's the only other player that you would draft so high outside of quarterback.
So one wide receiver they could take is Luther Burden III from Missouri. He's considered a year one starter on NFL.com, and he's compared to Garrett Wilson. That's one guy they could take. Two other guys. Someone brought up earlier, Ashton Genty, the running back. Gets comped to Alvin Kamara a lot. There's a world where he's the best player available, and you don't really like taking running backs that high, so I could see why you wouldn't want to do it. Also, you already have Christian McCaffrey, although I don't really know what you have with Christian McCaffrey. I wouldn't hate the Ashton Genty pick, although I kind of expect the Bears to take him with the 10th pick because Ben Johnson had so much success with Jahmyr Gibbs, and they're kind of similar. But what I want to bring up is Tyler Warren, the tight end from Penn State. That player is very interesting. He looks really incredible. I'm not a great scout by any measure, but when I watch him, I mean, have you watched him?
Yeah, I watched him this last, in the playoffs or whatever. He seems good. 11th overall. I wouldn't do it. There's this is a very talented tight end class, and I think you can find a really good tight end in later rounds. I would not do that personally. You got George Kittle on your team still at this moment to spend the 11th overall draft pick on a tight end who's going to be your tight end 2 would be crazy to me.
Okay, let me make the case for it.
Okay.
George Kittle's a great player. George Kittle's going to be 32 in October, and the Niners have given out a lot of extensions to players in their 30s. Mm-hmm. They might need to stop doing that eventually. And eventually, George Kittle's going to break down. He played through broken ribs all year. He's super tough. He's a savage. But you could get a lot for George Kittle. I mean, it's the kind of move that I feel like George Seifert or Bill Walsh would have considered. We love George Kittle. He's a great player, but he's 32. We could trade him for a first-round pick maybe and replace him with Tyler Warren. Again, I'm not a great scout, but just watching him, he looks like the best tight end I can remember coming out of college. He's 6'6", 2'6". He's freaking huge. He's a really good blocker. You could put him on the line of scrimmage. You could put him in the backfield at fullback. He's got great hand-eye coordination. He's so good after the catch that they actually used him on direct snaps as like a running back at Penn State. I've never seen a tight end who could do things like that. He can also throw. He was a quarterback at one point. So he seems like a very interesting offensive weapon, a very unique one. And if they were to trade Kittle to get more picks, like maybe another first-round pick this year where they could take an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, I could see him doing something cute like that.
I hope they don't. I agree. Like when I watch him, he looks really good, but I think George Kittle is the leader of this team. I feel like they're not ready to move on from him, nor should they. They need that veteran leadership from somebody. And so if you're going to keep Kittle, which I assume they are going to, I'm not comfortable drafting one.
Okay, let me keep trying because you keep bringing up really good points. How about you draft Tyler Warren, you keep Kittle, you don't extend Kittle. Kittle plays out the final year of his contract. You have Warren and Kittle on the field together, 2 tight end sets, or you could put Warren at fullback, get rid of Juszczyk, and then next year decide whether that's a pairing you want to keep going in the future or if Warren is just the heir apparent.
I think this tight end class is so deep and you have so many other needs. And if you look at like who's the last player to get drafted that high? The dude on the Falcons, what's his name? Last tight end.
Pitts.
Who?
Pitts. Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts. Yeah. Didn't really work out like they were hoping.
No.
Right? That's not a good example of why you should do it. I think for the 49ers, their biggest needs are on defense and this O-line. I think that's what needs to be addressed. Maybe if the top corner is still available at 11, maybe you want to go that route, something like that. Maybe like if they don't get Greenlaw, they go linebacker. That could be a possibility. But I would be shocked if they go tight end when they have the best tight end in the NFL on their team right now. I do think they get a tight end, but I don't think it'll be with number 11.
I just feel like if they're seriously considering taking a wide receiver in round 1, as you mentioned that they could be because it's Kyle and they obviously need one to replace Deebo Samuel. Like if they're thinking they might want to take Burden or McMillan from Arizona at 11, I would argue that Tyler Warren is a better offensive weapon than they are. But again, maybe I'm wrong. Just
But they
I
don't
can't
even
remember.
need Kittle,
He's
though.
so big. He really does remind me of Rob Gronkowski, and he can do he has all these little gadget things he can do in addition that are kind of nice.
The problem is they have George Kittle and they don't even use him.
That's true.
Like
I wanted to bring up earlier, like how Kyle has to keep giving Deebo the ball because he's I almost feel like he's scared of Deebo. He wants Deebo to like him. If only Kittle was that demanding and made Kyle feel like he didn't necessarily like him, maybe he'd get 150 targets a year.
It happened. Remember?
Yeah.
Remember that one game? I forget what game it was this season.
Buffalo.
Yeah, he talked about only got like one or two. And then the very next game, he just went crazy. So Kittle needs to be more of that guy. Like, this is his team, essentially. Kittle needs to be more of that guy. One thing I do want to say also is the loss of Deebo Samuel is going to be great for the 49ers. It's going to be great because Kyle Shanahan doesn't have to force feed him the ball. And it's going to be great because it's going to be hard to find a wide receiver that doesn't run routes better than Deebo Samuel and has better hands than Deebo Samuel, if I'm being real here.
I got to go run and get my power charger. Give me 30 seconds.
All right. 30 seconds. You're on the clock. All right, so let's talk about Grant while he's gone. No, actually, what I want to talk to you guys about is the four-man front is going to be on my channel tomorrow at 4:45 p.m. PDT, and we're going to be talking about not the 49ers because I recently changed my channel. I'm talking about whatever the heck I want to talk about, and so tomorrow I'm going to have the coach, Jesse, and Grant on my channel, and we're going to be talking about 4 or 5 different subjects not related for the 49ers. So if you need a Niner break, come on by tomorrow on my channel, hit the subscribe button, the four-man front. We're going to be talking not about the 49ers. Hey, man, this is what I do, Grant. This is what I do.
This is what I do, baby.
Yeah.
Apparently, this is not what I do. Okay. We're back.
Hey, you guys got shorts on. This guy got the white shorts on. We saw the shorts.
Yeah, Nike shorts.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Will you guys be doing a mock draft? Spider369 wants to know. Oh, dude, are you kidding? Absolutely. I'm going to be at the combine too.
Are you?
Yup.
Dope, dude.
I'm bringing my own freaking stopwatch, man. I don't give a damn what anyone else says their times are. I'm getting my times. Time and everything.
From the stands.
From the stands. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, I got another topic for you.
Did you have to go upstairs?
What's up?
Did you have to run upstairs?
Yeah.
To get that? Yeah.
I'm a lot of breath. But I've been going to Orange Theory recently. I've been getting my cardiovascular bag.
Hey. Good job,
hey.
man.
Yeah. I'm in awful shape, but I've gone 3 times. So
hey, I'm in worse shape.
The 49ers often have a player on the bench who's pretty good, but hasn't gotten an opportunity. And when he gets the opportunity, it's like, where have you been? Why haven't you been playing?
Yeah.
If there's one of those players on the roster this year, who do you think it is? Give me one bench player who really hasn't done much for this team, who you think deserves a shot.
Jacob Cowan, especially coming into this season. No, Deebo's going to be gone. Brandon Ayuk's going to be late. They need a wide receiver. Jacob Cowan, every time he plays wide receiver, he looks freaking good. And he's the fastest wide receiver on this team. They need that speed element. That's a guy that I think has shown when he's had his opportunities that he's pretty damn good. It reminds me of the Jordan Mason situation a couple years ago when you're like, every time I see this guy, he looks good. Why isn't he playing? That's what Jacob Cowan looks like to me. So that's the route I would go.
Yeah, especially when Deebo was really stinking it up last year. Like, why can't Jacob Cowan get like a few targets? The only thing with Jacob Cowan is he's so short. I wonder if he's a good fit with Brock Purdy, who's also on the shorter side for a quarterback. I mean, he does seem to like throwing to Kittle and Jennings, partly because he can see them from the pocket when he's surrounded by 6'5" offensive linemen. But I do like Jacob Cowan. It seems like he's open a lot. And even if like Brock has trouble finding him late in the progression, that doesn't mean you can't call plays for him. You could call shot plays for him. They did do that and they hit. So I would agree with you on that. Jacob Cowan needs to have more targets this year. He's much better on offense than he is on special teams, in my opinion.
And height really doesn't matter on the deep shots, right? Like it matters more like in the middle. You're trying to find them, or you know, and
it's more like, I'm like working right to left across the field, and I'm like trying to find the fourth guy in my progression, and he's way over there, and I just can't find him. I don't exactly know where he is. But if he's like, it's like a stutter go, and you're my number one, like I see you, I can find you. Yeah, I think he's good for that, and that gives you an explosive element. Also, jet sweeps and screens. I think he'd give you something there too. Why not?
Yeah, that's my guy. Who do you got?
Okay, I'm going defense.
Okay.
And I'm thinking the Niners really have had a bunch of cornerbacks leave the team and have success. Akello Witherspoon's playing well for the Rams. Sam Womack's playing well for the Colts. I think a lot of times the Niners don't give these young cornerbacks a chance because, I don't know, maybe Kyle Shanahan doesn't want to or feels more comfortable playing someone like Isaac Yiadom. But I mean, even Renardo Green last year didn't really get to be a fixture in the defense until late. And it seemed like he was good all offseason. So I'm going to go with Darrell Luter Jr. He was a 5th round pick a couple of years ago. He's never really gotten a shot to play corner in a real game. He's big. He's fast. He was handpicked by Steve Wilks, who really knows cornerbacks. And just because he hasn't gotten on the field doesn't mean he's not good. Because, again, we've seen a lot of cornerbacks on the Niners not get on the field and then end up being good. So I'd like to see him get an opportunity to see what he can do. We saw him in training camp. I thought he looked good.
I think that's a good one, and I think they're going to have to. I mean, the Niners, like Renardo Green and Diamador Lenore, are both good. I like them both, but Charvarius Ward is leaving. And after those two, who else do you have on this team right now besides Luter? Like, it's another position of need.
I mean, like, they had Brock Ya-Sin playing last year. Like, stop that. Don't do that. Enough.
Yeah. I think Luter, this is the year we find out who Luter is. I think we have to because they just don't have the depth at anywhere right now. They have 2 corners. It's kind of insane. Good ones, Renardo Green and Demo. Demo's one of my favorite players on this team, but they need to see what they have in Luter. They need Luter to work out. I assume they're going to go out and get some free agent corners and maybe draft another one. But right now, Luter is in prime position to get an opportunity, and I think that's a good pick.
Another guy, this guy's a free agent, but I felt like it was pretty clear. He looked like a better player than the starter. Ben Bartch. Look, like another one of these backups who you're not thinking about, who doesn't have any like standing on the roster because he didn't get drafted high or didn't have a big contract. But Aaron Banks, 2nd round pick, never really made much of an impact, goes down. Bartch comes in, looks like he was an instant upgrade. So I wonder if they bring him back, he could be cheap. I'm not saying just give him the starting job, but that's another guy. Like, remember Daniel Brunskill?
Mm-hmm.
That was a guy. Like, Daniel Brunskill was a good starting offensive lineman that the Niners always sort of benched or made split time. That was a player that they probably should have given an extension to. He's gone. Maybe Bartch is like another Brunskill for them.
I thought they should have gave Ben Bartch. I know he injured his ankle, but I still thought from what I saw, and would we have a game and a half? Mm-hmm. He looked like worthy of an extension at that time. So I thought they were going to do that already. They haven't done it yet. We'll see what happens, but I think that's a good call. I got another one for you.
Okay,
if he's healthy, and he might be a free agent. I don't have the list in front of me, but Curtis Robinson, the linebacker.
I like that.
When I watched him in the preseason, I was really impressed. And he's been with his organization, I believe, for 3 years now. And he seems very cerebral. Stanford guy. It sucks he got injured because I was hoping to see more of him. They're going to have a hole to fill if Greenlaw takes off. I'm impressed with Winters. We did get to see him. I hope Saleh can put Winters, just help him with his angles and stop missing guys because Winters flies around. But Curtis Robinson seems like the very smart, cerebral linebacker that the 49ers might need some of this year also.
I got another one. Nick Zakelj. Like, Jake Brendel is the worst starter on the team. Jake Brendel is old. Jake Brendel is small. Jake Brendel is not good. Mm-hmm. Is Nick Zakelj, I mean, they've been grooming him to be a center for 2 years. He's way bigger than Jake Brendel. I'd like to see him get a chance because I can't imagine that Jake Brendel's actually better than him.
I hope that Nick Zakelj isn't the answer.
Maybe it's Matt Hennessy or someone in round 3 this year. But if it's just those two, I'd like to see Nick Zakelj get up. He did start at center in the last 2 games or the last game, and I thought he was functional. I mean, he was not that much worse than Brendel.
I really hope they get Drew Dahlman and get a veteran in to play center. That's my hope. He would make a big difference for this team. So that's what I'm hoping happens. But you never know. It'd be interesting to see how he plays out. But yeah, I'm hoping it's a Drew Dahlman that we see at center, or this Matt Hennessy cat is better than Nick Sakelj. We got to see Nick Sakelj. He looked okay, but there needs to be something that happens to replace Jake Brindle, because
here's why I think Drew Dahlman would be intriguing for the Niners, because his dad was on the Niners, started for them, was on the team from 93 to 99. And he did technically start 4 games in 94 when they won the Super Bowl. So, I mean, if you're going to be bringing back all the, why not?
He is the best available option at center for the outside of a rookie, particularly for the running game that the 49ers have. Like, he's really good in his own running scheme. Like, that would be the best free agent pickup that they could make this year, in my opinion. He would make
but I bet you he gets like 4 years, $50 million. Good player.
Possibly. But Alex Mack, like, what did they pay Alex Mack at that time? Is it relevant?
Alex Mack was a lot older.
Yeah.
They paid Weston Richburg a little bit. Let's see how much did they pay 49ers sign Weston Richburg. I think it was 3 years, $30 million, something like that. No. Oh, damn. That was 5 years, $45 million. That was 2018.
Yeah.
So
I mean, center is so crucial for your success. That I feel like that's where they need to. I mean, you're going to be extending Brock Purdy, making him $55 million a year or whatever it ends up being, and you're gonna use Jake Brindle to block.
You know what's tough though? You know what's tough about having a coach like Kyle Shanahan? So you want Drew Dahlman, right? Great fit for your scheme, for your offenses, your outside zone running game. Sure. He's also a great fit for the Seahawks scheme because they have Clint Kubiak. He's a great fit for the Dolphins. He's a phenomenal fit for the Texans. You know what I mean? Like, he's a great fit for hella teams. So that's going to be some competition there. They might have to pay for him. But like you said, they paid for Weston Richburg. I can't even talk today, man. You talk. I'm not talking anymore. Not done talking.
No, we need you to talk. There's still 9 minutes left, at least, of this show. So you got to bring it back.
That's a good point. Actually, I think I'm done talking. I mean, we're out of super chats. The Niners haven't traded for Maxx Crosby yet. Do you really don't think they will? Even though Diamador Lenore wants them to, and Tabor Peppers kind of wants them to also.
I mean, how you have Nick Bosa making
trade Kyle
quarterback money? If you trade Bosa, sure, but like both, how? Like that's like, what are they going to spend $70 million on your 2 defensive ends?
And how much is Maxx Crosby really worth?
He more than Bosa, but you can't have both. I don't see it.
Well,
give him the Joey.
Sorry, Max.
Joey's going to be here. That's what's going to happen. Get used to it.
I really don't want that to happen.
The Bosa Bros, and it's going to be like, instead of Splash Bros, the Bosa Bros. That's going to be what you're covering all of 2025.
This team needs to be less of a family and more of a football team.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all we got. Thanks for watching, everyone. Grant Cohn, Ryan G. Hensley. We'll be back soon.
Hey, tune in tomorrow at 4-Man Front on my show, but we're gonna get Grant talking not about the Niners. We're gonna be talking about. You still got to think of your topic that you're bringing.
Yeah, I think we're all coming to the show with a non-football topic. We're going to show our versatility and how much we think about, how we're all intellectuals and think about life and stuff. So I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Can't wait. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
See you guys tomorrow.